There's a lot of people who will say, if you're really dealing with somebody who is narcissistic, their primary intention is not the well-being of the child. They'll tell you that it is, but their primary motivation generally is to be in charge and to not be told what to do and to not feel like they're submitting to you and to have it their way. And the well-being of the kid gets lost in the crossfires. And it can get very confusing because a lot of people who have that defense tend to be, well, many of them are very charming and very smart and very skilled and are very good at spinning things and getting other people very, very confused about what's going on. So it's a really challenging dynamic to be skilled in. What's happening in you hearing all of that?
I think confusion in terms of like where he sits, because there's definitely been times where I've been like, absolutely, it's the narcissistic end of the spectrum. And so that makes me wonder, like the times where it does appear like that there may be cooperation. I wonder, is he misleading me? You know, is it deceptive? Like,
it's predictable. Their unpredictability is predictable. When you're working with somebody that we would think of as being more personality disordered, okay, and I use these terms very tentatively because they can be misused to really pathologize and diagnose and enemy image people. And I'd like to not be a part of that, but they can also be really descriptive of very helpful patterns. So to the degree that we can hold it in a descriptive way, just to understand and not dehumanize someone, I'm all for it. And let's try to not dehumanize. But when you're dealing with somebody who is very narcissistic, one of the hallmarks of that is that they are unpredictable. They can show up absolutely cooperative and co-parenting, and they can look really good. And then the moment you think you can settle, they will pull the rug out from underneath you and you'll get disoriented. And you'll be like, wait, I don't understand what just happened. And then if you try and have that conversation with them, they will spin it that you're the problem and they're not the problem. And they're just being blah, 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 blah. And you misinterpreted, you're expecting too much. Your values are not their values. You're trying to impose things upon them. You're actually victimizing them. And there is a predictable set of things. And then you'll get really great behavior for a while. They can be so charming. It's like an abuse dynamic. Okay. Yeah. So you're looking for patterns over time. Here's something that might be a helpful reorientation. It doesn't matter whether he is a narcissist or not, and whether or not you can figure out whether he's a narcissist or not. Like in some ways, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that you stay grounded in what you are able to control, and you grieve through all of the places in your relationship with your son where you no longer will have full control.
Right.
And you'd be willing to feel the helplessness of that and the fear of that and the grief of that and the injustice of that and the everything that is coming up for you in those spaces. Because it sounds like with the structure, the truth is you now have control over hopefully at least 50%. And so you keep your attention on that. You keep your attention on who and how you are going to be when your son is with you. And what you do is you, in some ways, you sort of let go of control in the other household, and you can frame things up as requests, as recommendations. But the moment, if somebody is very narcissistic, a lot of what they don't want is to be controlled. And that's also kind of a normal human thing, but it's really on steroids over there. And so they'll often not do something just because they unconsciously are trying to assert their own ego over everything. And you or I or other people could spend an entire lifetime trying to figure out how to manipulate, coerce, control, frame up, manage. And there's going to be a part of that you're going to want to do because you are both raising somebody that you love. But for your own well-being, your task is going to be being who you need to be and letting go of the outcomes. Because if somebody is narcissistic, they will put you in a constant double bind. And what I mean by that is the situations are going to get set up for the next, whatever it is, 15 years, that it's going to feel like a lose-lose to you. And so in a lose-lose, the best thing that we can do is have integrity about who we're going to be in the lose-lose. And we let go of what we cannot control over and over again. Now, of course, if issues of physical safety and severe neglect and things where you need to get child protective services involved, that's a completely different thing. Of course, we use the protective use of force in those situations. But in terms of just managing the relationship, you bring what you want and you just watch what he's able to give back or not, and then you let go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the grieving, it's hard. It's hard. I so badly want a harmonious situation for all of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And that is not really what the other side of this wants. So,
Yep. That's right. So then what you tell yourself is, I value harmony and ease. I am going to bring everything that I can bring that is in the service of harmony and ease without being self-abandoning and without being neglectful myself. And I am going to let go of the fact that this other person may have a very different agenda. But the reason I got divorced is that that's no longer my responsibility. That's not my circus anymore. That's why I left. And I am powerless to change who they are and to change how they're going to parent and to change how they want things to be in their home. And I may have some serious fears and concerns about the well-being of my son when he's not under my care. And that is one of the awful, awful things of not having your child 100% of the time. That is just painful for the parent who doesn't have control over that part of their child's life anymore and still feels a lot of care and concern and love and investment.